This pandemic has reshaped the needs and expectation from the consumers. Brands, they have to find this appropriate and responsible answer to that. People are looking for more honesty, transparency, clarity as well. You have to reconsider your expression. Voice could help you do that. Through the pandemic, we helped the bank finding a new role model and have this new vocal figure, sonic identity, sonic environment. They can help you create that engagement.
Welcome to the Sound in Marketing podcast. Today's episode is the conclusion to my conversation with Valentine Fleur, Cesium Son's Head of Strategy and Managing Director of Canada. How has business been during this pandemic? Has it varied from country to country? I feel like the voice industry was on its way up before this happened. And then now, from what I'm hearing, there's this opportunity for experimentation. So I'm just wondering, are people taking a chance on this thing that they've been hearing about, sound, and the importance of sound during all of this total changing of our lives?
I would say that obviously like the branding sector took a blow. Some project got postponed. We had great project, for the Olympics that got postponed and will only start picking up in 2021. But I have to say that one thing that we've noticed through this pandemic is I feel like people don't relate in the same way to brands. I think it started, it's something that was already happening before the pandemic. You mentioned it, but all this brands are thinking way more about their vocal identity, way more. I think they want to engage with their audiences in a more conversational way, on a more conversational level, and also create this intimacy. I feel like, like people are looking for transparency, honesty. People tend to not believe in advertising, and in those particular moments, they want that truth, right? So in our industry, we tend to say that music conveys meaning. That's what we compose the DNA. But when we work on the vocal identity, even though it's still influenced from our understanding of the brand, we tend to say that the voice is mostly the personification of the soul of the brand, which is a total different thing. I mean, it's there's a lot to hear behind a voice, like obviously a gender, a tone, an accent, we work for different brands through the pandemic. We worked on vocal identity and we told them diversity is important. It's important that we know that where you're located. It's important for your people, you value your roots and your origins. And that's crucial. That's important because you want people to engage with your brands through a voice. And if they don't, if it's robotic, if it's international, and that's so international that it's so neutral, then they won't commit to your brand. There's a lot to hear behind a tone, a gender, a timbre as well, an accent. Branding is obviously a language that is universally understood. And this language, you have to make sure that it's pronounced by the proper person. And this person has to belong to the family of the brand. So these were projects we worked on a lot during the pandemic, vocal identity. And we wrapped up a couple projects as well, like in terms of creating different sonic territories. So it's just like the economy is picking up, but very, very slowly. So this pandemic has reshaped the needs and expectation from the consumers, and brands, they have to find this appropriate and responsible answer to that. People are looking for more honesty, transparency, clarity as well, sonic identity, sonic environment. They can help you create that engagement on a more emotional level, a physical experience through retail or human interactions. Then you need to find this proper tone, this proper expression, this proper musicality, not only the proper tone of voice. I don't know if you noticed that, but a lot of brands changed the way they were talking about themselves in the recent years. I think Starbucks did a great job as well doing that. You have to reconsider your expression to be, once again, unifying those things. Voice could help you do that. Basically, through the pandemic, we helped the bank finding a new role model and have this new vocal figure. We helped an airline company working on the sonic territory and creating this soothing and reassuring environment and a very ownable sonic territory. It also comes with finding the right voice with this proper accent. And we worked on skills as well. Once again, how do you create this conversational relationship with devices? So we are developing more skills for vocal assistance.
What industries would you say in particular are most interested in sonic branding in 2020 and post-pandemic and beyond?
I wouldn't say like any industry has been more interested in sonic branding. I just think that they consider different things way more. And I think vocal is going to be crucial, especially because people are not as inclined as, touching devices. So how can I help you, but, stay away from you? You know what I'm saying? So how can you command? How can you pay? How can you make transaction in a more vocal way, but also in a safe way, in a safe zone?
We're heading into a touch less, I don't want to say touchless, but touch less community and culture through this.
For sure.
We're going to be much more wary of what we do and what we touch and what we say and where we go. Everything's going to be different. And I feel like sound and audio experiences is something that the consumer has wanted a better experience up until this point, but marketing and advertising has had their fail safes and people accept what they've done so far. So they haven't really pushed it. But now with, everybody wants an emotional connection. They want people to understand. They want brands to, I feel like kind of sit with them, like they don't want to sell. They just want people to connect with. And this is the time when they're going to start demanding, and they kind of already are, to get an emotional experience. And you get that through sound and through audio. So in my opinion, I think that the pandemic is just going to spur forward the voice industry as a whole.
I think so. And also I would say like micro melodies and notification sound is going to be also something that's going to be crucial. And that's why texture is going to be also so important to consider. We tend to forget about the 5G also coming up, like this 5G era where you're going to be able to interact with so many different devices, your fridge, your screen, your television, your remote control, and all those interactions, they would have to be proper, distinctive. And there are going to be so many different brands competing in the same environment, let's say a home, for example. So you have to make sure that you create the sound that connects not only the device to the human being, but create this triangle between the device, the brand, and the human being. So you can either do that through voice, like you said, and I totally agree with you, but it's going to be also through sound. And both worlds are going to be colliding for sure.
What advice would you give a business or a brand that wants to incorporate sound into their marketing, but they don't necessarily know how to go about starting it?
I used to be a client of Jeanna Isham. Sonic branding was something I was not familiar with at all. To me, music was just an illustration. Basically, it was like, okay, I have this content, I have this target. What are they listening right now? Dua Lipa. Okay, let's license the track or find something that's similar to that. That was my approach when it came to music. So I totally relate to, where should I start? So once I was told, and once I understood that sound can unify and embrace all your brand assets and key messaging, then it becomes easier to not only relate, but to tackle the topic. And that, as I said previously as well, like every brand is different. I think it's important to start by auditing your brand and its landscape. So what its competitors are doing, what are your challenging, what are the sector trends, and what are the market perspective. And we do that audit for new people, new companies that want to tackle this sonic branding topic. And once you have this clear roadmap, once you've identified the potential opportunities for your brand and areas of differentiation, then it becomes easier to move forward. If you don't have that starting point, then it's very hard to relate to it. And actually, we are offering this audit in the moment until like late October, I think, something like that. So we just want to accelerate this kind of process.
What projects have you worked on lately that has truly you've been proud to be working on? And you don't need to name names or anything, but what projects have you been working on with 6am Sun?
There are so many projects I'm proud of. The work we've done for Renault, and a very powerful project. Some families, some mothers, and I know my mom loves Huggies. So every time, like, play me Huggies, like, okay, but you know it by heart. It's okay, I want to listen to it again. I have to say, I'm very proud of the work we've done and the latest project we've done for Royal Bank of Canada, RBC. they never explored sonic branding before. And basically we created this, their very first ever sonic identity. And it's a big brand. It's a huge brand. It's one of the top advertisers here in Canada. So, it was a big challenge. They were the greatest clients to work for and work with. And the reason why is also because they picked the most ambitious project. They picked the most ambitious sonic DNA. And that felt great, to have this kind of confidence with them and shape that sonic territory from the ground to the sky with them was just an amazing experience. It's called Echoing Forward, by the way. So now you know the name of the sonic DNA we created for Royal Bank of Canada.
That's exciting. Your experience with RBC, that sounds like the perfect client experience.
Exactly. Yes. Very fortunate to be very transparent with you. People were telling me, maybe they might be a little conservative, but no, not at all. They were caring, listening, totally trusted our expertise, and we really worked well together, and we still are, and we're very lucky, very, very lucky.
What have you been really excited about for the future of sound and marketing? That can be a brand that's doing something, that can be a concept, it can be a new platform. There's just so many identities out there. What's got you excited?
I like when marketers and brands, they make bold decisions. They go for not the easy choice. And I think if you want to be powerful, if you want to be impactful, meaningful, you have to, take a little bit of a risk at the beginning. It's very important because sonic branding is it's about branding, right? It's not about seduction. It's not about, creating something that would stick to your head. It's basically express your brand. So it's okay if you cannot relate to the sonic logo right from the start. Netflix did a great job. Netflix did a great job because it wasn't expected. You're in the comfort of your home, ready to watch the show, and you have this heavy, authoritative sonic logo, and you're like, okay, well, what's going on? And that's what they wanted to express, like bold and heavy sound. I know what I'm doing. I know what kind of experience I'm able and capable of delivering. I curated the best content for you guys. Now sit back and relax. And I thought that was really great. But I don't know if you heard the new version, the version that they've created with Hans Zimmer was in movie theaters. And it's obviously a longer version to introduce the logo, but it's so heard before and so disappointing that it feels like, they somehow tossed that beautiful work and put it into the trash. And I was expecting more of that brand. And also it felt like the logo home version, as we're going to call it now, had so much potential to, expand its vocabulary like into a broader and longer version. So it was kind of disappointing. But if you want one example that I really like, and I think it was also a very good and strategic move, is the one that Volkswagen took, especially after what they experienced in the last 2 years. We know with the Dieselgate, you probably heard about this. I thought the turn they took was pretty smart, taking that electrifying turns with more synthesized sounds, with a sonic logo that reflects a smart move again, and an expected one. I thought it could project the brand into the 21st century. So I think that was really well done.
I'll promote another podcast right now, but if you haven't checked out the 20,000 Hertz episode speaking about the Netflix Tadum, I think it's, oh gosh, I can't remember which episode number, but I think that in the title it says Tadum, but it's talking about the Netflix sound, and they explained how they came about the original sound, and it was fascinating. And it's also fascinating to hear your opinion on the new one, because I've actually been curious about that. What people think. Do they like it? Was it an overspend to get Hans Zimmer in there? Was it necessary? Like, there's so many factors, and it's all up to interpretation. But maybe I'm
too harsh because it's Hans Zimmer, but I feel like maybe that's the job he was asked to do. But he felt like, like this progression with the chords coming up. It feels like, EuropaCorp or all those production companies. They have this kind of, like it goes up and rises, and it gets bright. And even though when it circles back to the actual logo, it feels like they muted the sound. So it's not even the same kind of, feel at all. And though it's still the same it's the same brand, it's the same production, same company. They want to be expressed in the same way. And to me, it's not very consistent between the two. But maybe I was too harsh on Hans Zimmer. Sorry, Hans, if you're listening.
Well, it's all based on interpretation. You can have any opinion that you'd like. So that's totally okay in my book. But definitely check out that episode for 20,000 Hertz, because
I will.
The way that they came up with the original sound, the bloom sound is basically what they're calling it, was really cool. And it's kind of a unique, one of a kind discovery. So that might be partially why Hans Zimmer may not have created it as authentically as you would have liked. So anyways, I'll send you that link. I'll probably link it in this episode too, just because we've been talking about it. But well, Val, thank you so much for your time. This has been lovely. And I just love to get, the perspective of other sound agencies and sonic branders and stuff. So thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. Take care.
In 2020 alone, sound in marketing is hugely important. People are not relating to brands in the same way as they did even 1 year ago. They are looking for transparency and honesty. A more conversational-driven marketing approach is necessary for the post-pandemic consumer. For more of the Sound in Marketing podcast, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Stitcher. For inquiries on producing and developing your own podcast, or for inquiries on sonic branding and sonic branding consultation availabilities, you can find me at Dreamr Productions. That's DREAMR Productions.com, LinkedIn, and Facebook. You can also email me at Jeanna, Jeanna, at dreamrproductions.com. All links will be provided in the show notes. This episode was produced by Dreamr Productions and hosted, written, and edited by me, Jeanna Isham. Let's make this world of sound more intriguing, more unique, and more on brand.